intelligent and you have an issue with that, you might want to get the fuck out because you want to enjoy this conversation. So I want to say hello, Joyce and Brian and Pascal. How are you? Demetrius, hey, Uncle Jerry, how you doing? Good to see you. Rod Moore, what's up? How you doing? Okay, so yeah, as you guys hit the thumbs up button and all that good stuff, and the share button and subscribe button and all that, and share the conversation, I wanted to tell you guys about this article that I just read. I was just kind of looking around and trying to see what the world was talking about, and I found this really interesting article on MSNBC, and basically it looks like it might be an editorial or something, but so it's not like it's like official news reporting, but the thing with these editorials is that somebody has to decide which editorials are going to get read, which ones aren't. So when Boyce Watkins submits an editorial about whatever I think, then that's not going to get the same sort of support, I imagine, as somebody who's submitting an editorial about why Black people aren't gay enough or whatever, right? Like that's kind of the world that we live in, and it's okay. It's all right. I accept it. I've been a Black man my whole life, and I'm okay with that. And I know that there's a bias, there's a racial bias that does occur within mainstream media. And it is what it is. But anyway, so I'm just sort of floating through, and I go by NBC News, and NBC has this section called Think, where they have opinion, analysis, and essays, where they share perspectives that they think the world should hear. And one of the perspectives was actually about the rapper Nipsey Hussle, the late Nipsey Hussle, and Nipsey it's so crazy to me. A Black man, grave ain't even cold yet. Just fresh in the grave, and they already start, shitting all over the man's legacy, and really saying things that are just a lot, like, I don't know if you guys remember, I think it was Mark Lamont Hill, as soon as Frances Cress Welsing died, I think the next day he was basically attacking her for again, not being gay enough. And that's what it is. They feel that Black people aren't gay enough. I don't think most Black people I roll with don't have an issue with people who are gay. They don't run around saying, oh, kill those gay people or whatever. They don't do that. They might just say, that's not really my thing, and I don't really want my kids, being taught a certain way. But it's all good if that's who you are. So anyway, let me jump in. Okay, so I'm gonna pull up this article. By the way, shout out your city if you're watching. Hit the thumbs up button. Shout out your city, your business, and your dreams, so that other people watching the conversation, other intelligent Black people, can network with you, and so we can support each other. They can support your business. Put your website in there. Put your name in there. Your city, whatever it is you want to put in there. Just shout yourself out. That's very, very important. Okay, so here we go. All right, so and I'll get to some of your questions. By the way, I see some of you have questions about certain things. I'm so upset that Yvette and Tone don't want to close ranks with you. Yeah, that it is what it is. I think that the one, just to make a point on that, we'll talk about that a little bit if I get time. Alicia's gonna come get me, but I do think that with the ADOS movement, I think that one of the challenges with ADOS is that it's hard to have an ADOS movement like that, where the leaders of the movement are attacking Louis Farrakhan and Dr. Claude Anderson. Forget me, I don't matter. Who am I? But if you're talking about reparations, you can't attack Dr. Claude Anderson because he's been talking about reparations for 40 years and all this other stuff. But we'll talk about that in a minute. And it ties into Nipsey Hussle, because earlier today, Vicky Dillard was actually talking about Nipsey and ADOS and saying, Nipsey was half Eritrean. I hope I said it right, or Eritrean. I always say it wrong, but I should say it better. I gotta pronounce it correctly. But anyway, he's not fully African American. So given that he was fighting for Black people, I would say he should be supported by ADOS. But when you're alienating everybody, it's hard to build a movement that way. But anyway, let me read this to you. This article is by George M. Johnson. George is a writer for NBC. He defines himself on Twitter as an activist and a writer. So George is looking for props. He just got a book deal, and you can tell why he got a book deal. Whenever you say shit that that basically describes Black people as a bunch of backward Neanderthals, you're going to get a book deal. White people are going to love you. So anyway, he says, nothing in the Black community happens in a silo, and thus, when tragedy inevitably strikes, it is often seized upon as an opportunity to engage with larger, more uncomfortable questions. It's not surprising that the murder of rapper Nipsey Hussle on March 31st has sparked a series of conversations about gun violence, homophobia, and how we mourn a complicated Black life. Now, I'm gonna say this as we move forward. I don't recall anybody in the Black community really having a big conversation about homophobia. I just don't. I don't think anybody was saying like, how does Nipsey feel about what another man does with his penis? I don't recall that. Tell me if I'm right or if I'm wrong. Tell me, have you guys, Black Ebony, Case, have you at any point when you're sitting around with your black friends and you're talking about the life of Nipsey Hussle and what Nipsey Hussle represented to you, did homophobia come up in the conversation? Did it come up in the? I don't think that sexuality even comes into the discussion unless you're a guy who is envious of the fact that he had the chance to sleep with Lauren London, even though Lauren had a baby with Lil Wayne. I don't know if I want to sleep with Lauren London, but because I wouldn't want to sleep with anybody who slept with Lil Wayne. I'm just being 100, keeping it 100 right here. No disrespect, just a fact. Okay. Anyway, but has that come up? Does that come up at all? I don't think that comes up in any meaningful black about that when it comes to Nipsey Hussle. They're talking about what kind of an activist he was. They're talking about how great he was. They're talking about how important he was to the community. Uh-oh, it looks like my image went away. They're talking about what he means to black folks. They're talking about, what he was doing, in terms of business. They're talking about him economically. They're talking about all these great things about Nipsey that went far deeper than just, what does he think about gay people? So by the way, I might have lost you guys on YouTube. So let me see. Okay, so tell me if you guys can see me on YouTube. If you can see me, just say yes. Say yes, I can see you. Yes, I can hear you. Okay, so if that ever happens again, just chalk it up to my stupidity and just know that I'm going to become unstupid long enough to get it reconnected. So I don't think that's a conversation. I think that that's what they do, though. That's what white media does. White media imposes, again, it's like an intellectual imperialism. That's what imperialism is, where you come into the situation and you impose the conversation that you want to have. Everybody in there, they're talking about what they're going to have for dinner, and you come in and start talking about the Dallas Cowboys game, right? And you're like, well, every time Sunday dinner happens, we always talk about the Cowboys. And people are like, no, we don't talk about the Cowboys. Your ass talks about the Dallas Cowboys. We were talking about what we're going to eat for dinner, right? So that's what white folks do. They like to do that. They like to use the power of white media to come in and impose a conversation on black people that black people were not actually having, or impose a false reality on black people that is not consistent with the reality that we all live. Just a fact. Moving on. So reading, he says, lost in these conversations that white people force us to have, though, is an equally important discussion about black masculinity. Who is afforded to and who ends up dying when we tie toxic ideals to manhood? Because you toxic ass black men, your toxic masculinity. Like black men in here saying, speak up. Let me say, Alvin, you're a black man. We know that means you're toxic. It's the goddamn melanin in your toxic ass skin, your toxic son of a bitch. So here we go. We have seen the glorification of gang culture and how it intersects with black masculinity, because all of us want to be gangbangers. That's true, right? That's what it is. I can't help it. I've been crip walking since I was a baby. We have seen it portrayed in movies like Boys in the Hood and expressed in songs like the NWA classic, Fuck the Police. Black Americans are justifiably tired of the oppressive systems that police America. Nipsey's story is no different than many we have seen. A young man from the hood tries to have a positive impact, but his legacy is complicated by his unwillingness to give up the homophobia and misogyny that continue to hold so many of us back. So basically it sounds like you're saying that he's trying to be positive, but because he is so crippled by all these backward ideals that black males carry around, like homophobia and misogyny, he can't move forward. He can't move forward because his ignorance, his niggatry is holding him back. Okay, so because he won't evolve the way white people want him to evolve. That's white people, if you're listening. By the way, I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins. You may know me, but I'm gonna probably be the nigga you love to hate. That's gonna be what you're gonna think about me. But let me just say this, white people. The problem with your conversation about homophobia is not that you have an opinion about it, or that you have a perspective, or even an agenda. We know about your agenda. We know the gay agenda is real. The problem is that you keep coming to black people as if you're trying to educate us. You come to black people almost like you're trying to civilize the savages. That's what it is. It ain't no different from what they did in Africa hundreds of years ago. It's like, okay, I am a priest out of Spain or Europe or some other white country, and I'm going to come to your country with a Bible in one hand, a gun in the other, and maybe some food. And so if you take the Bible, I will give you food. If you don't take the Bible, I'm going to pull out my gun and kill you, because you savages need Jesus. You need white Jesus to clean up your dirty asses, because you're about 2 nickels above being a monkey, about 2 nickels above being monkey status to us. That's what that, and that continues to this day. That tradition has never ended. So anyway, let me keep going. So this is not to say that people can't evolve. Like again, evolve. Think about it, evolve. Like monkeys evolve. See what I'm talking about? Do you follow me? Intelligent black people will get what I'm saying. Do you like just the language? Like black people need to evolve. That's kind of a way of saying that black people are primitive, that we haven't evolved enough, that we need to, that we need to be made more civilized so that we can be whiter and we can be gayer and we can be whatever they want us to be, right? So let me keep reading. And Negroes like this guy who write these kinds of articles, I mean, that's why they get book deals. That's why they get put on NBC. They're not going to put me on NBC to talk about the other point of view. That's just not what they do. So anyway, let's keep on. So this is not to say that people can't evolve. Jay-Z's past is littered with examples of misogynistic and homophobic lyrics. Yet last week, he was publicly lauded by GLAAD as an LGBTQ ally. Now, he missed a bunch of the letters because I heard it is now like LGBTQ ABC 1 2 3 7 5 6 9 7 7 7 93 11. Like I heard that they added about 8 more letters on there, and if you get a letter wrong, they're going to slap you. That's how much freedom we have in America. That the liberal fascism will shut you down and destroy you if you do not get all the adjectives and all the acronyms correct. Okay, so anyway, he says growth is good. Again, another word that links. That's growth is a little bit like evolving, right? So it's like, okay, we're glad to see you're evolving, black people. We're glad to see you're growing, black man. And if you're really smart about it, a lot of y'all have high IQs. That's why you're here. If you pay attention, that language being used toward the black man is very deeply connected to the way the black man is seen in America. The black man, according to every study known to every scientist in the history of this world, the black man is seen as a little more savage, a little more primitive, a little more backward. So when they talk about words like evolve and growth, what they're saying is that you're a dumbass little kid, and our job, the best way we can help you is to make you more like us, right? We don't want to be like you because you're backward and you're homophobic and you're misogynist and you're ignorant, right? They don't come and say, how do we act? How do we become more like you? The only time they come to a black man and learn how to be more like you is when they learn how to play basketball or learn how to rap. Then they might want to be more like you or whatever. But beyond that, when it comes to thinking, when it comes to processing complex ideas, they don't go to black men and say, how do I become a smarter person? How do I become a better scientist? How do we create better engineers? They don't do, how do we evolve as mathematicians? We're going to go to black males to do it. That's what makes it difficult for black men. That's why black male scholars get less attention from mainstream media than black male basketball players. Or that's why black male attorneys get less attention from mainstream media than black male rappers or entertainers, because that's what they want you to be. That's what they see you as. They don't see you as thinkers and entertainers, right? So, thinkers and scholars. So moving on. So he says, this is not to say that black people can't evolve. Jay-Z's past is littered with examples of misogynistic and homophobic lyrics, and yet last week he was publicly lauded by GLAAD as an LGBTQ ally. Now remember, Barack, his buddy, was named the first gay president. Y'all remember that? In fact, I decided that instead of calling Barack the first black president, I'm not going to call him the first black president anymore. I'm going to start calling him the first gay president, because that's what Newsweek called him. Newsweek put it on the cover. They had a picture of Barack Obama. I swear, go Google it. Google this. This is not me being mean. I'm not being mean. This is true. They had Barack Obama on the cover of Newsweek, and he's got a gay halo, like the little multicolored thing over his head, and it says first gay president. That's how much they love him, and that's when your career will take off. That's when you're going to be protected. No Me Too, no gay man that I know of has been taken down by Me Too. Kevin Spacey he's in a court case, but they're keeping it kind of quiet. They're not really reporting it on it that much. But no gay man has been brought down by Me Too. No woman gets brought down by Me Too. Those are protected classes. But black men and straight men are the ones that the Me Too movement has taken down 99.9% of the time. Don't believe me? Go check the receipts. Just go search this. Don't believe me? Just search this. All right. So anyway, so moving on. He says growth is good, but we must also remember that the timeline is different for the actual targets of hate. So now they're referring to it as hate. So now, again, this is they're moving right back toward Nipsey, right? So targets of hate. So when you're not in agreement and alignment with the LGBT agenda, then you start getting labeled. You start getting labeled not just as homophobic, but as a not racist, but discriminatory, or oppressive, etc. That's where the Root. Remember, the Root wrote that article where they said straight men are the white people of black people, or straight black men are the white people of black people. That we straight men somehow we are just running around just oppressing and destroying everybody. And I just find that really fascinating. So it says people are dying while others are asking for time to grow. Again, growth, evolution, etc. That means you're a dumb little kid. You're growing into the gayer you become, the more you accept our agenda, the more you start becoming, a better person, right? And I agree with you, Irene. It's very condescending. It's very condescending, because if they were to talk to someone like me or to you, they're not gonna have a two-way conversation. Like bigots like that, intellectual imperialists, they don't have two-way conversations. They have one-way discussions, because they truly believe that in their mind, it's their job to teach you how to be a better person, not for them to learn that maybe you need to be a better person, right? So let me keep going. But by the way, please hit the thumbs up button. You're watching drboycetv.com, the home for intelligent black people. Please hit that thumbs up button, share button, subscribe button. If you want notifications when we go live, text the word voice to 31996, text voice to 31996. And don't forget, we're on iTunes, so you can look for my name on iTunes and you can subscribe that way as well. So here it also says, the LGBTQ community is all too familiar with the violent side of black masculinity. In 2016, a black man was sentenced to 40 years in jail for pouring boiling water on a sleeping gay couple. That's pretty terrible, just so you know. If you're a black man and you think that's terrible, I want you to just say that's terrible. Everybody repeat that. If you're black and you're in here right now, I want you to say that's terrible. So we can make sure that if you are the kind of person that would pour boiling hot water on anybody, you probably need to get the fuck out, because this is not a place for you. We don't, right? So say, everybody repeat after me. That's terrible. Thank you, Trina and Bo. That Larry Cobb. Thank you. That's terrible. All right. So we want to make sure. So we rinsed ourselves of toxic masculinity, and the women too. Some of y'all got toxic masculinity. So cleanse yourself and just say that's terrible. In a Charles Barkley way. That's just terrible. All right. So anyway, let's keep going. Meanwhile, violence against the transgender community appears to be increasing, while many of the crimes involving black or brown female victims and black male attackers. The words of those who are seen as leaders trickle down, and just like that, someone's thoughts become someone else's actions. So what they're doing here, by the way, babe, we're talking about this article on NBC. She's here. She's been waiting on me to go run it, but I gotta tell. So we are going to go tonight, but I have to tell you this. So, listen, but let me tell you what happened. So NBC News wrote an article where they're basically they're already shitting on Nipsey Hussle's grave. They're saying that he was filled with misogyny and toxic masculinity. So I decided I would analyze the article and break it down, and we can kind of talk about it. So here we go. All right. So listen to this. So here's what's happening. I like breaking stuff down. I like giving you the bottom line, because I'm pretty good at I can read and I can translate white people language. And so as I'm reading this, what I'm getting is, so meanwhile, violence against the transgender community appears to be increasing, with many of the crimes involving black or brown victims and black male attackers. The words of those who are seen as leaders trickle down, and just like that, someone's thoughts become someone else's actions. Now, I have not read the next paragraph. I haven't read the next paragraph. But here's what this last sentence is critical. That last sentence about the words of leaders trickle down and become someone else's thoughts or actions. What they're doing right now is they're trying to basically turn Nipsey Hussle and other people like him. They probably include me in this group, I guess. I don't know. I don't know. But they're turning him into Donald Trump, right? That's what they're doing. They're doing a Donald Trump on him, in the sense that, and it really is, it's terrible to do it to a gay man. Not a gay, but it's terrible to do. Well, it's terrible to pour boiling water on anybody, right? But it's also terrible to do this to a man who just died, right? What you're basically going to do in the next paragraph is you're going to go across that bridge. You built the bridge. The bridge is, we need to take a few terrible actions on the part of extreme individuals, crazy people who just want to harm somebody because of who they're having sex with. But we need to connect that to something larger. We need to connect. Politics is all about forming associations, false associations. So you won't say, if you can't say to a person you did something bad, what you will say is, you're associated with this other person who did something bad, right? So it's like, if you have a friend who killed somebody, they're not, and they can't call you a killer. if you're running for office, they'll say his best friend killed somebody as if you did it too. So what they're doing now is they're basically, it appears the guy is trying to make the argument that people like Nipsey Hussle, they may not be the one who is pouring, boiling hot water on a gay couple, but Nipsey is the guy who gets into the guy's head because of his toxic masculinity. He gets in the guy's head and convinces him to pour boiling hot water on the gay couple. So that's what I mean when I say that they're doing kind of what happens with Donald Trump. Like people say, well, Donald Trump said this, this, and this, and it makes white people mad, and then they go out and they want to kill people. And so it's kind of interesting, right? So let's keep going. He says the past 12 months have provided numerous examples of the fragility of Black masculinity, from famous Black men calling Terry Crews weak for not fighting back against his sexual assaulter, to Kevin Hart's old homophobic jokes surfacing before the Oscars, to the death of 2 Black men at the apartment of prominent Democratic donor Ed Buck. The dots connect.
Really?
Okay, to the death of 2 Black men at the apartment of, and running through each incident is an undercurrent of homophobia, which of course is also rooted in misogyny. So I'm gonna just say this. Okay, Black men, I need to take a poll. Women too, if you want to join the poll. This is for everybody. How many of y'all were confused by the fact that Terry Crews, a man who's 6'2", 245 pounds, was running around saying he's part of the Me Too movement because some little ass white man grabbed him by the balls or wherever he grabbed him? Tell me if that didn't look like really stupid to you. And ladies, tell me if your man was 6'2", 245 pounds of muscle and came home to you crying and saying, his boobs were sore and he needed some ice cream, and he was crying and upset because at work a white man grabbed him by the balls and he sat there and did nothing about it. How many of you would like literally lose zero respect for that man? How many of you have vaginas that would dry up on the spot if your man came home crying like a white woman because somebody touched him at work? And he's 6'2", 245 pounds, worth millions of dollars, one of the most well-known actors in Hollywood, so he can clearly defend himself, but he feels like he's just like a sexual assault victim. Like he's literally like a poor girl who goes on a date with a guy with Mike Tyson, and Mike Tyson, rapes her and beats her up and whatever. Like he's literally comparing himself to a little 5 foot, 100-pound woman who was just assaulted. How many of you don't think that was like the most retarded shit you've ever seen in your life? How many of you did not? I'm sorry.
No, I gotta say, if he went to his wife and cried to his wife because he was sexually assaulted, I think that's okay.
Okay.
There's nothing wrong with that. And what?
We'll keep that in mind if I ever decide to turn into a bitch.
Yeah,
Okay.
But if you
so
cry to me, I'd be happy.
I know, and I appreciate it. But if I'm gonna cry to you, I'm gonna cry for some manly shit.
Conflicted.
I'm not gonna cry because
those are the people. Because you gotta think about how racist Hollywood is. Those are the people who hold the keys to the next gig. So if he was to attack those people for doing what they did, he could spoil his name in Hollywood and never have enough money at all.
That's true. He was so.
You're
right. He was. He would. Right. He's a struggling actor looking for his first opportunity, and he doesn't want to mess that up. Okay. So anyway,
That's real.
Okay. Thank you for that. I appreciate that, but I do not agree. If that happens to me, I'll just end up losing my job that day. So we'll have to find another gig for me. We'll have to find another line of work for me, right? I will have to go and start a business or something, or a different business, because I'm not letting any man grab me without retaliation. It doesn't. No. The question is, at what point is a Black man strong enough to stand up for his fucking self? At what point, seriously, at what point does the Black man decide, I'm not going to be the white man's bitch anymore? You got $20 million in the bank. You done did movies that have been seen all over the world. You've been acting in A-list movies for 20-something years, and you still feel like you are so weak and timid that they can come up and grab you by the pussy, and you can't do nothing about it.
Yes.
Whatever. That ain't me.
That is right, but I'm saying that's what's happening.
Okay, so let me keep going. Let me keep reading here. We're going to continue. Because we got to go running. All right. So so somebody says that's victim blaming. Yeah, that okay. Would you okay.
Yeah, it is victim blaming. I agree with that person.
I'm not blaming the victim. I'm not blaming him for what happened to him. I'm blaming him for not responding. Terry Crews made a decision to remain the victim in that situation. He did not have to continue to be the victim. And the black man at some points got to grow some goddamn balls. Seriously. And how long are you going to say, I let this person do this to me because I'm scared that I won't make my next million? Like, seriously.
I'm not saying I agree. I don't agree with Hollywood at all. But he's aspiring to be an actor. And he wants to.
He's not aspiring to be an actor. He is an actor. He's not aspiring to be in a movie. He's been in a movie. If he was 19 years old trying to get his first gig, I would get that. I would almost get it. I was still kind of. It would still be iffy.
Though, boys. You don't want to be blackballed in Hollywood.
And
those people have a certain lifestyle that they have to maintain.
Well, and that's what keeps us enslaved.
Okay.
So anyway, so he says. So let me keep reading. Terry Crews alleges he was sexually assaulted by a man who doesn't identify as gay. Yet other men like actor D.L. Hughley and rapper 50 Cent questioned if Crews maybe wanted the incident to happen because he didn't react in a violent way. Kevin Hart's old tweets joking about the violence he would commit if he ever had a gay son tie into the same notions. Hart apologized and claims he was only kidding, but Wendell Melton wasn't. Melton murdered his gay black son, Giovanni Melton, in 2017. Allegedly, he would rather have had a dead son than a gay son. Okay. What Giovanni Melton did is wrong. I think most of us, again, if you think that that's wrong, then say it. Please say that that's wrong. You don't murder your kids for being, and seriously, and there are black people that will reject their sons for being gay. And I'm here to say right now that that's wrong. You don't do that. You love your child through it all. Don't do that. If your child comes out the closet and tells you they're gay, don't hit them in the head with a Bible. Don't tell them that they're going to hell. Don't tell them that you're disowning them. Don't tell them, don't do that. Love your child through all of that. How many of you agree with that? How many of you can love your child through their sexual preference? How many of you can do that? Say yes if you can. If you can love your child through their sexual preference, then we're going to have a good conversation. If you can't, then that's an area where you and I will disagree. I am not a person who agrees with that. So again, because I'm sure this guy would probably say I'm one of those leaders with the toxic masculinity who says things that makes people want to go kill gay people or whatever. Whatever they try to do, they try to form these ridiculous, flimsy, stupid, irrational associations, right? I'm here to make sure it's 100% abundantly clear that if you are a person who will disown or hate your child or attack your child or hit your child in the head with a Bible or tell them they're going to hell because they were honest enough to come out to you, I'm going to just say that you're wrong. And I do not agree with you. And you may want to leave because I'm probably going to say something to offend you. So again, people like this, people that sit on these liberal media pedestals where they sit and they sort of self-righteously look down on the black community in a horribly condescending way, they make incorrect assumptions about black people. Anybody in here, does anybody here go to a black church? Anybody ever been to a black church? And if you've ever been to a black church, I want you to tell me, have you ever seen a gay choir director or a gay person in the church where you knew, you like, oh yeah, he's probably gay, right? But you didn't really think much about it because you don't really care. But you if he says, oh, this is my fiance, you'd be like, yeah, right, sure, right. If you have, and here's another thing you probably know. You know that most black people in the church, again, this place where the people need to grow and evolve, and because they're so backward and they're so primitive and they're just a bunch of Neanderthals, according to white media, in the black church, there is no hatred toward people who are gay. There's no hate. If you're gay, just say that. If you're gay and you go to church, you know what I'm talking about. I've never been in a church and seen people attack somebody because of their sexual preference. What people in the church don't like, I believe, is when you put things in their face and force them to validate whatever you do in your private life. Seriously, people know that there are hoes in the church. But if you come up and you say, I need you to validate me being a hoe, I need you to tell me that having sex with 40 people a week is a good thing, they're going to say, no, I'm not going to validate that. But I love you anyway. I love you. God loves you, and so do I, right? If we know there's adulterers in the church, men who sleep around, people may know it, but they may not say anything. They may love the person through it, but if you come up and you say, hey, I cheat on my wife and I cheat on her twice a week, and I need you to just tell me that that's okay. That's my sexual preference. My sexual preference is I got to have, at least 10 women a week or I'm gonna go crazy. they're not going to validate that. They're not comfortable saying, yeah, I think that that's good. They don't do that. So the same thing is true when it comes to a man sleeping with men. Don't nobody want to hear that. Nobody wants to hear you tell them what you did with your penis the night before. Nobody. Even if your penis was in your wife, don't nobody want to hear about that. Seriously. So that's the issue. But outlets like NBC aren't going to hear that because they think black people are backward and primitive and stupid, and that we just need to grow, we need to evolve, because we're like monkeys, we're like the missing link, we're like these primitive knuckle dragging primates that need to evolve into sophisticated human beings like them. That's the arrogance of white people. That people is what is called white supremacy. White supremacy is, I'm superior to you, and the best thing I can do for a black person is to make them just like me. And that's a form of racism in itself. And that's the form of racism that liberals tend to carry around, but they think they're immune to racism, which makes them more racist than anybody half the damn time. Racism is a disease that most affects people if they believe they are cured. It shows itself the most when you believe you are cured. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back and analyze the rest of this article, but I'm going to do it later on tonight. I can't do it now because I promised my woman I'd go running with her. So we're going to do this because we got to get ready for this half marathon. You guys know I'm on this weight loss journey, and I gotta stick with my commitment to her to go running. But later on tonight, as Arnold Schwarzenegger says, I'll be back. So if I have some energy tonight, I might hop on tonight. Subscribe at drboystv.com so you'll get a notification when I go live. Also, you can subscribe via text by texting the word voice to 31996. Text voice to 31996. And also, let me see, one more thing I wanted to tell you guys. Oh yeah, some of you guys that want to learn financial literacy and stuff like that, because as you know, we believe in buying black and all that good stuff. If you want to increase your financial literacy in the tradition of, the Nipsey Hussles and people that are really doing things in the community, the Dr. Claude Andersons, feel free to go to blackmoney101.com. That's blackmoney101.com. And tomorrow, actually at 2 p.m. Eastern, Dr. Claude Anderson, author of Powernomics, will be coming through here, and we're going to have a conversation. And I'm actually going to ask him about this topic because he'll give you a historical breakdown on just how long white people have been acting white, and how long they've been acting like they're better than you, and how long they've been trying to preach at you, and how long they've been telling you that something's wrong with you, and how long they've been telling you that you need to evolve. This is nothing new, right? And they usually get black people to share their ridiculous message. So anyway, I'm going to finish analyzing this article a little bit later, but I got to run. I'm going to be with my woman for a little bit. So hit the thumbs up button, please. I appreciate you. I love you. And you guys have a great day. And I'll talk to you soon. Somebody says, Dr. W, your lady's going to think you're violent. Nah, she knows I'm a teddy bear. She knows I love her. I would never be violent with that woman. You should never hit a woman, by the way. That makes you a punk. That makes you into another Terry Crews. But then again, he probably wouldn't hit a woman because anyway, I gotta go. I'll see you guys later. Take care. Bye-bye.
That was good voice. Good job.
Hold on, wait a minute. I'm still alive.